Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us for a Kentucky Derby news update. I'm Magic with Aaron, and Aaron, we've got the field here for 20 horses. The last race, the last time the Kentucky Derby was held, where 1 through 20 made the gate, was 2018. It'd be really nice if the 20 horses that we've handicapped and we see on the screen here and that qualified end up making it to the gate.
Well, we don't have any news yet, so that's a good start. I feel like by this time last week we were already losing horses out of this thing, and so far we don't have news. Now that certainly doesn't mean we're not going to have news. I want to make that very clear because with each day you just kind of wake up and do we have anything? But no, all good, all good. Nothing to stress or worry about right now.
Surprise guest in here. Mike Somich is joining us. Mike, good to see you, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Derby week, baby. What can I say? I had to show up for at least one of these. How's it going, boys?
Good. We were just talking about how we would love to see the 20 horses here that we've handicapped make it to the gate, but 2018 was the last time the 1 through 20 entered the gate. And Aaron's right. Last year there were 23 horses entered and 5 scratched. They had 3 also eligibles. Still only 18 horses ran. And Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli, I'm sure, are chief among the people that want to make sure their horse gets in the gate. The only news that I saw from the recent works was that T.O. Password, the 9 horse, one of 2 Japanese horses in here, almost threw his rider at the end of his gallop today. Shied away from a shadow on the track. So 2 races or 2 career starts for the horse, and he's getting spooked by shadows on the track. That just means things are going to go so well for him in the Kentucky Derby, right, Aaron?
There couldn't be a horse I care less about than T.O. Password. He could have done anything. I mean, and again, it is a Derby, and sometimes a weird horse does win, but I worry about him more than anything. It's just like, is he going to do something dumb in this race? Is he going to just fly out there and set some kind of crazy fractions? Is he going to veer right and smash Forever Young, or veer left and smash Encino? Is he going to take the rider and just dump him? That's more of like my worry with him. As far as him being like a significant thing that we talk about, I don't see it.
Yeah, it's very much who he affects, not what he does, right? And
Yeah.
if that's either by setting the pace and going crazy, or like you said, like what happens if he veers in left and just takes out Encino just to touch an Anna Marie, and all of a sudden we're all like, what? Come on, man.
Well, all of a sudden, if fierceness breaks, well, the race is really over if he does that. So
Yeah, that's definitely, I think that of all the horses in the field, the break is the most important for fierceness, in the sense that if you bet him and he's in front, as they go under the wire the first time, you're like, all right, I can probably just sit back, watch, enjoy it, and get ready to cash my ticket. And just as long as he gets out of there cleanly, he's going to be very tough to stop. Not really, again, too much other news here. We'll see if anybody in the chat has anything that they want to add. If you are watching us live, go and put your comments and your thoughts in the chat there. I know that we on the dais here, none of us really put too much stock into workouts in the sense that if a horse looks good, they're supposed to. They're in the Kentucky Derby. It's like when the Breeders' Cup, it was like, oh, this horse looked good. It's the World Championship. They're supposed to look good. It's the ones that don't look good that you kind of worry about, or that you maybe take a note on. Track Phantom is going to wear blinkers for the first time in the Kentucky Derby. He was a little squirrely with them on for the first time in a work, but did end up running pretty solid in that one. However, the time was a little off there. Not going to put too much stock into that. Mike, has there been anyone's work or any video that you've seen that either really jumped out to you in a good way or maybe in a negative way?
I don't love workouts because, like you said, it feels like every horse is working the best they ever have been. It's like when you go to training camp in the NFL and everyone's in the best shape of their life, right? You go to the Breeders' Cup, it's the same thing. Everyone's working lights out. I will say the two that jumped off the page for separate reasons for me. 1 to 7, Anna Marie, who goes 47 and change for 4 furlongs. Never has shown that much speed in a race. And that to me is interesting because we haven't seen that much speed early in the morning from Anna Marie either. So the question is, does that mean that Anna Marie is going to be a little more forwardly placed, which I think anyone who's backing Anna Marie would be pretty happy about versus being all the way back in the pack. The other one's Encino. And the reason for that is it seemed like Brad Cox didn't want to run this horse until that workout. Like when you go into the workout and you say the words, well, we're going to make our decision here once we see the work, that tells me you're pre-prepping the idea you're going to scratch the horse, and the workout has to be great for the horse to stay in. Well, Encino outworks its running mate, clearly looks good in the morning, and Brad Cox comes out of that saying, yep, nope, Encino's going to be in the Kentucky Derby. So those two are interesting to me for separate reasons. I mean, the Encino one specifically, it was a very good work, and everyone on the team agreed, or else they would not have this horse in this race. And then Anna Marie, because we might see a different change of style.
Aaron, do you agree with that about Encino? Because I thought for sure Brad Cox was just trying to find the tiniest excuse to scratch him from the Derby or not enter him and then put him into Preakness instead.
Well, I'll give you an interesting story on Encino. Somebody I know very well was watching the work to watch Catching Freedom, because big supporters of Catching Freedom. And he said, hey, who was the horse that worked with Catching Freedom the other day? He goes, that horse looked a lot better than Catching Freedom. He said, I don't know who that was, but he was huge. He did everything the right way. He's got a beautiful way of going about him. And I said, that's Encino. And he was like, oh, that's Encino. He's like, holy cow, that horse looked amazing. So I think that's what it was. I think the pre, like Somich said, the pre-work comments on Encino were, well, we're going to put him out there and we'll see. You know, this is a game time decision. The bottom line is when you put that horse out there for the whole world to see, and the whole world, including his connections, his owners, I should say, the owners are going to look at that and go, well, here's your number one Derby threat, you know, on paper, and our horse just killed him in this workout. We're running, right? So if the plan was to not run him, it didn't work out for Brad. But, you know, look, every step of the way from this horse first maiden race to now, he's been trying to prove Brad Cox wrong in a sense, because he sent him to where his third string usually went, and he outran what I think the expectations were. They scratch him from the Bluegrass. They didn't give him a chance at that grade 1. We'll run him in the Lexington. He ran really, really well in the Lexington to where it's like, now we're in the spot. So yeah, I agree with Somich. I think the work from Encino and the draw, he got a great draw. It feels really good for him.
As a fan of Catching Freedom, I said yesterday on Magic Mike show that he is my early top pick to win this race. He has traditionally never been a good workhorse. Going into the Louisiana Derby, he had kind of a lackluster work in terms of time. And Brad Cox says it's just how he always is in the morning. He's just kind of lazy and only does what he needs to. And that kind of lends to what we saw from him, at least earlier in his career before Louisiana Derby, Aaron, where the horse was squirrely in the stretch. The Smarty Jones, he was a mess for 3/4 of the race. And when he finally figured it out, it was like, oh, let me show you how talented I am, and just like blow by to get the win. But it is something that makes me a little nervous, along with that 4-post to play it. Oh, there we go. We got some. God damn it!
I was wondering
All
when
right.
you were going to see it.
Oh, geez.
So, and I will tell everybody this, so that if you didn't read what Alex just wrote, hi Alex, by the way, but if you didn't read what she just wrote, Encino is scratched. HRN has reported it, so we just wasted a lot of time there. Somebody chime in if they've seen it, because this happened literally when we're on the air. Is it this trainer decision, owner decision? Is he hurt? What's going on there? So,
no story out yet. Just says that he is scratched.
Okay, so I've gotten a few emails today saying, "Man, where's the Bible at? When's it going to come out?" This is why you don't want to put it out on Monday or Tuesday, because I think everybody on the stream was going to have Encino listed. I know I had Encino listed in some bets, so you kind of got to pivot a little bit. You don't want to get it out too early, and this is unfortunately, and I feel like Magic, we caused this, bragging about nothing happening. and then we got this. So.
Oh, that sucks. But it's one of our fantasy horses too, Magic. I think I was going to have Encino in second in the race. And so pretty frustrating to see Encino go out there. Be interested to hear what the story is. But man, that's a stinker.
I'm pissed off. I hate this. I will say this makes things a little easier for me in terms of my at least my top four that I was considering. I had 5 horses for the top 4 that I was considering, and Encino was one of them. He was the one that was kind of, I had him on the outside, but I kept thinking he was going to sneak in and possibly take the spot of someone else. So that does suck. I also feel bad for the jockey, Axel Concepcion. He was a very talented young rider, just lost the Bug Boy moniker a little bit, and then he ends up getting the Derby mount after he lost it for the Lexington. So hopefully the horse is okay. We'll probably have more news. That honestly, we're not going to be on long enough for the news to break on Horse Racing Nation. Fierceness no longer in the cursed post. Yep,
it's over now.
It's
all over now.
Sorry, Stronghold. You're screwed.
You're out, Stronghold. Let's see. What was the 16? I got the stats for the post here. Give me 1 second. We'll check it out.
16.
16
Meanwhile,
post.
by the way, somebody go check on Rodney because I think he.
So the 16 post is 4 for 50 in the Kentucky Derby, just under 8%, with 10 in the money finishes, just under 20%, or just over 20%.
If you hear my phone, it's constantly going off. Hey, Encino scratched. Next person. Hey, Encino scratched. I tell you, our Racing Dudes Discord's got to be in shambles right now. I don't even want to go on it because so many people like them, and I really hope that there's nothing wrong with him. Oh, you're muted there, Somich.
I didn't mute him.
Hopefully, we're running the Preakness.
Me too. Yeah.
Yes.
Me too. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Encino scratched, Mark. Encino's gone.
Why do I feel like this is like deja vu? Like I felt like the first show we did last year, everything was fine, and then somebody scratched when we were doing the show, and we're like, "What is going on?" So, hate that. So Epic Ride gets in. I think that's good. I think he's a horse that, at a price, might kind of be forgotten because he's the 21. Maybe he can juice up some things. I think he's a decent horse.
Epic Ride's definitely a super horse. Like it's one of those horses where if you want to round out your super with him and force something like that, horse tries hard, ran well last time in the Arkansas Derby. If Muth was in here, what would Muth's price be, right? And this horse was 2 lengths behind him. The post obviously not ideal, but it is a Johnny Triard horse that could run well.
Yeah, Epic Ride and Mugatu. I think that Joseph can't think of his last name off the top of my head. He loves Mugatu, so he's now just one scratch away.
Yep.
Yeah. You feel like that might happen. It's just Tuesday, but it is a shame about Encino, and like I said, though, Fierceness is out of the hole there of 17. So
wasn't Tiz the Law was 17 too, right? But didn't end up breaking out of the 17 post.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Tiz the Law was 17.
There,
but ended up
there were
breaking
only
out
like
15
horses in that
14,
year's Derby.
yeah.
Damn it. All right.
Yeah, back to the drawing board now. That literally changes every ticket that I have considered playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yep. He was going to be, almost everything for me as well. So.
Bad News says TO password looks great today. I think with it's worth playing. Hey, if you like, you're going to get the odds on it because that's the Forgotten Japanese horse. I think the 3 of us, he's not for us on this dais, but we're not going to try and tell you not to do that. There's just not for us. Had a question here from your grandpa, Aaron, your grandpa. Okay. Are you concerned about Sierra Leone's final fractions being slow and making a move too early and relying on momentum to finish the race?
Well, first of all, Grandpa, hello from the grave. Nice to see you again or hear from you again.
Glad to see he's a Dolphins fan.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't know that either. He must post life has taken on a new team. But anyway, appreciate you writing in. Look, I think the worry about Sierra Leone is a lot of things, right? The 2-hole, no doubt going to be dropping towards the back of the pack. Going to have to either weave through traffic and hope he doesn't get stopped or go 7 or 8 wide. I think it's a lot of concerns. Final fractions being slow, it's funny. Grandpa, when I was there live, that's so weird to say. When I was there live watching this race, I kind of was like, wow, he flew home, man. That was so awesome because I had a bet on him, and it's fun when you bet closers and they come from the clouds. And then you go out to dinner and like, hey, pull up that replay. We're all talking about it, and you watch it, and you're like, he really wasn't flying. So, yes, I think it's all a little bit troublesome for him. But again, there's no question he has talent. If this is a quote unquote normal race with 12 horses in it, some of this stuff you're not really worried about, but he's got a lot of worries with this kind of field.
Yeah, if this was top 12, I think I would have Sierra Leone in the first or the second or third spot most likely. And because it's 20 and he drew the 2, I don't think I'm going to use him at all.
That's fair. Yes, you could definitely see him getting just completely pinched back. Yeah. Jordan says now Fierceness can possibly face his bitter rival, a wet track. Right now, there's forecast for definitely rain on Friday. Saturday, early morning, a little bit of rain, and then kind of sprinkles maybe drifting in and out. So I would say you combine that with it otherwise being highs of 79 and 80 for the Derby and Oaks this year. And probably I would say be a good track. Just guessing off of what the forecast looks like. I would expect them to completely aerate the track if they can after Friday night and into Saturday, just to try and make that as fast as possible. But yeah, we'll see about that. Would rain affect either of you if it ends up being a wetter track? Does it affect what you're going to have?
I mean, not with Fierceness. I don't know if the wet track is his rival. He broke his maiden over a sloppy track and absolutely blitzed that field. Looked like one of the best horses at Saratoga. Got a 95 buyer first time out. The second race, that sloppy track was just an absolute mess in the Champagne, and there was a lot of other excuses outside just the track that I think you could make as well. So I'm not sure that that's an issue. And if you look at like City of Light, I know Aaron and I saw City of Light romp in the Pegasus over a very sloppy track. It has a very high Tomlinson wet track rating as well. So not sure it would really affect my handicap there on Fierceness.
Yeah, is that where you are too, Aaron?
Here's what's going to affect my handicap on Fierceness if they somehow flip-flop posts and he's on the inside. Honestly, like, to me, like I went back and looked at American Pharoah last night, and I'm not comparing him to American Pharoah, but he broke from a far outside post, 18, right? And it's just listen, any horse at any time from any post can get into trouble if they don't break well. So if he doesn't break well, what I'm about to say doesn't mean anything. But if he breaks well and he's on the outside, the chances of him getting knocked around are very small. And Pharoah, the same thing. He broke well. He got to the outside. American Pharoah lost some links because he was hung wide, because that you don't really have a choice. But he never got dirt in his face. Another horse, or no other horse ever touched him. And if Fierceness can have that same exact trip, I just think he's going to fire and win. So, yeah, no, rain doesn't really bother me. I know a lot of people go, oh, the Champagne, it was the sloppy track. I was standing right on the rail at Saratoga for his debut. The track was a mess, and he romped. It wasn't even close. He was 6 ahead before they turned for home. So I really don't think it's anything to do with weather or anything like that. I think it's just keep him in the clear and keep him from getting bumped and pray that that's what it is, right? Because the other part of it is with Fierceness, we don't know that's what it is. We're all speculating. And that means the trainer, the jockey, the handicappers, we're all speculating. Well, the 2 times he didn't fire, he got bumped a lot and he just got thrown off his game. It could be something else. And if it is, we're all screwed, right? Who's going to bet him anyway? But, I just think that the post drew great for what we thought his problem might be. So,
Mike, you tend to know where to find the good prop bets here. Silver Charm asking, is there somewhere you can get odds on a horse to win both the Derby and the Preakness right now?
I have not seen horse by horse odds to win the Derby and the Preakness. I did see one book that offered, will there be a Triple Crown chance in going to the Belmont, which essentially is the same horse winning the Derby and the Preakness. And I believe that was like plus 180, plus 190. So in my mind, way too short to bet it. Especially like, I don't know. What if Grandmo the First wins the race? You really want him at plus 190 in the Preakness? Probably not. But yes, you can find some things like that. There is nothing listed horse by horse. You can't say like Fierceness wins both races, or Sierra Leone wins both races, or Catching Freedom wins both races. I haven't seen that prop available.
Let's see. Yeah, scratch. Well, Kevin B says the scratch was a small negative for Fierceness. I wonder. Explain on that one. I know Aaron and Somich are big fierceness fans, so I would be curious to see why you would think that. I mean, it moves him out of the post 17, so anybody who's got a tinfoil hat on, you can take that off right now for him.
The scratch was a negative for it was a small negative for fierceness. I'm trying to understand how. It's another horse that has some speed that's out, so I think that would be a help.
I mean, if I picked who this is a negative for, I think it's actually just a touch. Because TO Password, if TO Password does go, just a touch gets crossed over. That's where I think that you're seeing a negative there. I don't think Encino is ever going to be forwardly placed. And so I would be more worried about a speed to the inside of TO Password now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kelby says, what horse do the Encino people jump to? I'm going to jump off a bridge. That's the horse I'm jumping off of.
Bridge jump, yeah. I think Encino was one of the horses that could beat fierceness. So I think it's a positive. Like, honestly, like if Encino gets a good trip and he beats him to the punch on the turn or something like that, and I thought he could do it, now it's like that's just one less than I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think it to me it's advantageous to Catching Freedom, Catalytic, and Just Steel. All of a sudden, those three are the three that I'm moving up most likely because of the loss of Encino. Mm-hmm. I don't think I guess the argument there is that Epic Ride can outbreak Fierceness. I mean,
yeah,
he'd have to really go, right? I mean, I think if Fierceness breaks, he's as fast, if not faster, than Epic Ride. The question is, does Epic Ride just 100% send from the 20 post now? And if he does, can Fierceness let him cross and then be, that second group 3 wide, which is where I think I expected him to be anyway. So to me, that's not a huge thing.
Looking back at the Bluegrass, so that's what Epic Ride exits and got him a bunch of points to come in here. Epic Ride was in post 8, so he was outside of most horses, and he let Top Connor beat him to the punch. And he also let Just a Touch beat him to the punch. And he also let Dornock beat him to the punch. And 2 of those 3 horses I just named are inside of him again. So Epic Ride does have speed, but the one time he had a chance to show it on dirt, he sat off and he didn't go. Like he settled into a stalking position. So I'm not saying it won't happen, Kevin. I understand where you're coming from with that argument. My rebuttal is look at the last race in which he had that chance. He didn't do it.
So this reminds me of a conversation just last night I had with Paul, because we were talking about TO Password and how he's kind of crazy. And in terms of Forever Young, who Paul kind of likes. And he was like, look, at the end of the day, yeah, TO Password could go crazy. But if TO Password causes Forever Young the loss in the Preakness, or in the Derby, excuse me, he probably wasn't going to win it anyway. And so I'll say it like that. If Epic Ride does something to cost Fierceness, he probably wasn't going to win it anyway, right? I mean, you got one speed horse to your outside. He's 5 gates to the right. If that little factor hurts him, he probably wasn't the horse to begin with. So that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, it says Brad Cox has announced it, but has not announced why. So still waiting for the why on the Encino scratch.
He let the horse tell him, and the horse told him no, I think.
Hey.
Yeah.
That could not have been Godolphin's choice. I know that this is like literally the one race Godolphin hasn't won in the world. It's a major race, so they're gonna have to wait again. Every time I see a Godolphin horse in the Derby, I think back to the one time they tried sending a horse to Bob Baffert to do it, and that turned out to be it wasn't the right horse, but it just was a disastrous situation, and they said, well, we're never doing that again.
Aaron, Delmar Dennis here. We want to talk about this real. Dornock is gunning from the rail. I agree with that. If he doesn't dwell from the gate, Dornock will be in the lead at the half-mile pole and 46 flat. 2-part question. You think Dornock's in the lead at the half-mile pole and over or under 46 flat?
I would go under, and I would say he is in the lead. And the only caveat to that is they put the blinkers on Track Phantom. And we saw when they put blinkers on Palace Malice for the first time in the Derby, he got scared because he had blinkers on. He couldn't see, and he was scared. He literally was scared. He ran off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Track Phantom's going to do that, but it's possible. That would be the only way. And the other thing is, it's kind of all or nothing. If Dornoch breaks really well, he's going to be in front, most likely. If he doesn't, he might be like 10th. So from that inside post, you don't know, but I think they're going to go pretty darn fast.
Yeah, I think we're going under 46 because Dornoch's on the inside. We don't know what T.O. Password's going to do and track phantom added blinkers. The combination of those three things make me expect we're going to see a 45 and change pace. And the last 2 years, we have seen 45 and change pace. 2 years ago, it was ridiculously fast. And it was like 45.3 something, 37. Last year was 45.75. I think we're going to see somewhere close to that 45.75 again.
Yep.
I'm missing Nick Sievers right now because he has the last like 5 years worth of Derby opening quarter and half miles. Every single one of them, I think, was under 46 seconds for the half. And it's always a case of the Derby pace ends up being faster on paper early than you ever think it's going to be. You're like, oh, this looks like it'll be moderate. Nope. Somebody's going to go out and do something stupid. Some jackassery will happen. A bunch of horses are going to gun for position early and then try and slow it down. But you got to think 20 horses coming out of the gate. They've all the outside horses have to get over into a position to save some ground. So a bunch of them are going to be gunning or being used harder. And some of them, you could have a Palace Malice situation like Aaron brought up there. So,
yeah.
So I did something for Racing Dudes a couple years back.
Surely not.
Here's all the pace numbers.
Okay.
So this is 2021. So 22, we saw a 22 point change and a 45.35 half. So second fastest half in Derby history, or the fastest there. And then last year it was 22 and change, 45.75. So right around the Nyquist time last year, right around the Justify time, just to give you an idea of where the paces have been and then where the winner has been at the half mile pole. It's one of the things where we talked about it prior to those two fast paces. You notice top three is where you have to be at that half mile pole, or the one outlier there, and that 45.33 was the fastest half mile in Kentucky Derby history. So it takes a fast pace to set up for closers. We've seen that in the last 2 years. That's why we've seen closers come from off it.
Yep.
And the last 2 years, it was sub 46. You had closers in Rich Strike and Mage get the job done. Look at that, Somich. Look at that. Yeah, don't update that chart because it helps your argument right now. Don't update it. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go nurse my sorrows in a bottle of Southern Comfort for the rest of the day. I did see somebody ask earlier, what's our Derby video schedule going to be like? So we're going to be live today, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be live for another morning daily show updated. And then we will have live coverage on Oaks Day and Derby Day. So at least for the big races at the end, probably not going to do the whole day because that is long. I've done that before.
No,
I don't think we want to do that again this year, but we will be live for the big races at the end of Friday and Saturday's cards. So come back here for that one. And then, of course, head over to the YouTube channel. We'll have right now we have Aaron's Derby preview up. He's got an Oaks preview that he's working on. And then we have videos from Vinny Blond that'll be coming out. He's going to do a trifecta video for you. So if you're trying to figure out a trifecta play, he'll help you out with that, as well as some long shots that he likes. And then Dr. Miranda with her live on-track reports from the morning workouts. You can catch those over on the YouTube channel pretty soon today as well. Aaron, anything? Oh, wait, no. The big thing. I completely forgot. In about, 2 hours here, a little over 2 hours, Blinkers Off will be live with John White, the annual John White Kentucky Derby interview. Always enlightening, never boring. Make sure you check that one out here as well. Over under an hour and 45 minutes for that one.
Over max bet. Don't care about the price.
There you go.
Well, I didn't know if Jared had like a hard out at a specific time or anything, because that's the one way that it ends up going under.
Over max bet. Don't care about the price.
Jared could just leave, and John would just keep talking, and then Aaron could just leave, and John would keep talking, and it would still go over the hour and 45.
All right, Woodford double oaked. Yeah, actually, I do have some of that. Maybe if another one of my horses scratches, I'm definitely going for the Woodford double oaked. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Everybody says, Aaron, cancel your dinner plans tonight.
I'm excited, and I know John's excited. And John and I have been betting baseball and basketball, hockey like crazy. So who knows? We may even talk about that at the end. Who knows?
Delmar Dennis, Mike, and I will have the Kentucky Derby show at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Thursday. Blinkers Off will also be live on Thursday with their Kentucky Derby weekend preview. Last Penny Farm, stay tuned. We'll have a Kentucky Oaks preview for you real soon. Don't worry about that one. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Mike, it was a pleasure having you come on. It was a nice little surprise this morning. The nice of the 2 surprises we had today. So at least we have that for you. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll be back here again real soon. Until then, good luck.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.